This week, I take on crazy, busty gambling addicts.
Garrett, you're going to need help with this one.
You rang?
Let's get nuts.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Garrett, and we watch anime.
Garrett, this show that we watch this week is, for lack of a better term, intense. It can be a little bit overwhelming for the average fan to kind of watch. There's a whole lot of stuff going on, so this week we decided to enlist the help of some of our friends who we kind of consider our podcast daddies. So
Great
this
idea.
week,
Bring them on in.
yeah, so we have a panel this week. We're going to do a new panel consisting of our good friends, John and Kevin, at the John and Kevin's Big Stupid Podcast. Hey, John and Kevin.
What's going on,
guys? How are you?
How you doing?
Good. So for those who haven't heard about you, and they should know about you, tell me exactly what your show is about pretty quickly.
You want to take this, John, or you want me to?
Nah, that's you. That's your job, man.
Kevin's the marketing mind.
Yeah.
John and I have been friends since we were 7 years old. We had a lot of crazy times growing up. And we started to, I'm not going to say that we started to like drift apart as we got older, got married, had kids, all that kind of stuff. But we definitely didn't hang out as much as we did. Mm-hmm. So I said to John one day, I was like, we need to start a podcast and let's just talk about all the crazy shit that we did growing up, you know? And that's how the podcast started. It was just me and him talking about crazy shit growing up. But as it started to go on, we started to realize that it's more than that, because now we're talking about our families now and you know how things were. We used to be like, you know, crazy when we were young and growing up, and now we're two broken men.
It's like Boyhood in that you have, like, you know, you film this movie over the course of several years, and you just see how you guys have grown. That's awesome. And honestly, for those who want a really good, fun, exciting, entertaining look at what two dudes from Jersey are like, it's a really great listen, and we really encourage you all to listen to it. But to go from the already crazy, dirty Jersey to the crazy world of gambling high schools, we are doing this week the high-stakes gambling anime Kakegurui, which what my wife likes to call cockle-doodle-doo because she can't pronounce it.
Okay, I'm glad you were able to say that, because I watched the entire first season, and I'm like, what am I watching? And everybody's like, I was like, I don't know what I'm watching. I can't say the name.
Kakegurui.
Kakegurui. And what's great about the show, so the show Kakegurui, the word itself means gamble mania, and it's what she kind of screams when she has like these like orgasmic moments of gambling bliss, so to speak. But in English, they try to call it compulsive gambler. That really doesn't cover how much the main character likes gambling. So just to give an idea, what we're gonna do this week versus others is we're having somewhat of a new panel. And what that means is I'm going to guide 3 people as opposed to 1 on what they thought about this show, what are the kind of greater themes for it. So I'm going to have each one of you give me a 1 to 2 sentence explainer of what this show is about. If I was to just walk up to you into the street, jump in front of you and say, what's Kakegurui about? Garrett, what would you say?
I would say it's the thrill of gambling, which is equal parts orgasm and depression.
Good. Kevin, how would you explain this show?
I would say Kakegurui is about sweaty rich kids gambling with reckless abandon.
I love it. John, what would you say Kakegurui is about?
I mean, there's a lot to say. I honestly think it's basically like an unrealistic high school of kids gambling and just an ass everywhere.
You heard it first here, folks. So basically, to give you guys a summary of where this anime started from, it's a gambling manga from 2014 to 2015. As we explained on your show, because we did go on your show recently, mangas are the graphic novels that come before the actual anime that you watch on TV. And the anime itself was available on 2017 on Netflix. So much so that it became a Netflix original series. So There's other shows that fit this mold. Some ones are known as Gamblefish, as well as Ultimate Survivor Kaiji are big ones, which if you like this kind of style, that's right up your alley. But this one occupies a very interesting space in that it really like shoves fan service in this almost like turducken of gambling meets anime meets, you know, orgasms and jiggling breasts. So I want you guys, we're going to go through the panel one by one, and I want you to say, what's this school about, and who is the main character, Jabami Yumeko? So we're going to start this time with Kevin. Kevin, what's this school all about?
Right. So this school is, like I said, it seems to be a bunch of rich kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that as soon as their classes are over, they just start gambling like fucking fiends.
It's like, what are you learning? Is there math happening in this school?
I mean, the main character, Yumiko, she's like, oh, I can't wait for the class to be over so I can gamble. You know, she's nuts.
So John, you said you went through all the episodes in season 1. Kevin, you got through 7. I got through 8. Has anyone seen a teacher yet?
No, I have not. There's no supervision.
There's absolutely none.
It's a show. I swear to God. Like, I can't. I can't. I was like, how is this like happening?
Possible?
Like, how exactly?
Where are they getting? First of all.
There's a lot to go over here.
Yes, exactly.
There's a lot to go over.
There's a lot to unpack, if you will.
Yes, we're going to unpack this thing slowly.
I mean, the things that they are able to do, first of all, they're like living in mansions.
Mm-hmm.
They have like secret police. They have like there's one episode where the student council president just hops on a fucking helicopter and just takes off. And she's like, "Oh, I'll be back in a week."
It's like a Bond villain.
I'd just like to point out that this is about the 4th show that I've watched that really like holds student council up in this on this incredible pedestal. When we went to school in America, they were the biggest dorks. Imaginable.
Yep.
It was like them and yearbook club. And
they didn't run a gambling ring, man. You know, they weren't in charge of the gambling ring. Am I allowed to curse? Is this bad?
I'm going to censor a bit, so this is going to be bleed heavy. So
all right, I'll stop cursing. I'll try to.
No, it's just know that every time you do, Kyle's going to be going, John, Kevin. So
just hit the explicit button. Don't be a.
We saw the show, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that need to be explicit about this show.
Right, exactly.
Like the rapey scene. That was like, whoa. Yeah. I was like, that's intense. I was like, what is going on?
I think, if I was to put
the American meathead that was like, gonna choke the girl, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, it's really very much, if I was to put a word onto this anime, it is intense. Like I put in the intro, it's a lot of intense ways of doing it. I think it doesn't go so overwhelming that I think it would turn me off from the show, but it definitely had its moments where I was thinking to myself, I don't know how anybody's going to cut this. And obviously it had to be good enough for Netflix to consider it an original series, because they don't spend money on anime unless they know it's something. So, Garrett?
Netflix throws money at anything. Have you seen half their originals? Have you seen Extraction?
Have you seen every Adam Sandler movie that's come out in the past 10 years? So
they give Adam Sandler $250 million to deliver garbage over and over and over again.
So, so to give you an idea, so I can give it a little bit more of a summary, it's Jami Yumeko joins this school. She is what we would consider a yandere. And to kind of give you a refresher on what that means, if you two, Kevin and John, have listened to our episode on anime girlfriend archetypes, which you should have, just kidding. If you have, what a yandere is, it's an archetype in which they swing from these very sweet, lovey-dovey girls to like
psychopath.
Exactly, and then a lot of times they're kind of murdery, but in this case they're not so much. Yumeko's not so much that, but that is generally she fits that archetype of like the.
What's the term again? What did you say? She's a what?
Yandere.
She's called a yandere, and
yandere. Okay.
In Japanese, dere means lovey-dovey, so it means a person that at the end of the day you're going to be like romantically involved with, and she does try to get a little romantic with Ryoto in this show. but Yanderu means like meant to be mentally ill. So it's like a combination of like mentally ill, lovey-dovey girlfriend. So it's an interesting combination.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you, because you guys asked, like, what is this school about? Apparently what this show is trying to display is that this is the school for the rich kids of the world. Like, one of the kids, as you mentioned, the kid that got aggressive with Jabami is the son of a governor, right? Many people either like one girl, her father owns the second biggest gaming company in the country.
Toy factory, yeah.
The big toy factory. Everybody has money, and which is crazy is that they're gambling insane amount of money with their parents' money, and they're able to just do it. So the way this setting goes, and I want you guys to jump into it as well, is it's not just that they gamble for the sake of social hierarchy. So I'm hoping, Garrett, you can start with the idea of like, what is this system, and what about the house pets that we learn about?
Right, absolutely. So in addition to being sort of an extracurricular activity, this gambling, as you mentioned, sort of controls the social structure. And depending at any given time, you have either a certain amount of debt to other people, or you possess or you own the debt that other people owe you. And if I'm not mistaken, the current student council president, who came in 2 years ago, developed the system of house pets. And in the past, I think the gambling was it was fun and it was competitive and it was certainly status driven, but now it's become something a little more twisted than that. And the new student council president essentially said that if you're in, I think it was the bottom 10%, you would become a house pet, which would mean that if you're a boy, you become a doggy, and if you're a girl, you become a kitty. You are less than human. You are subservient. Yeah. And their nicknames are Fido and Mittens.
Yeah, so in Japanese, the common name is Pochi for Fido, and the cat's names are Mike, which means like it's like a very common cat name. And and so for this kind of school structure, it becomes a way in which you can literally become a slave to someone.
Yeah, so you can become someone's ottoman.
Right. Like, you can become. Yeah, it's not so much that they can like just tease you. You pretty much own that person for a long time. So, John, when you first saw the house pet system, what did you take from it, and did it make the show seem like scary or intense? Like, what did you think of it?
Basically, when I saw the house pet situation, I was thinking that basically it was like, from the show, it just made sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But John,
that's a great point, John. It's like it makes sense for what we're watching. Yeah,
they're in high school. Like supposedly in high school, they're gambling like animals.
Yeah,
and you lose all your money. So that's what's gonna happen.
But John, like me, when you were watching it, every time someone was being treated like a pet, didn't you think, "Oh, let them try that with me. Let someone."
Yeah, I would have fucking popped them right in the mouth. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, my daddy's got more money, man. I'll go get him. but it's such a weird honestly, it did make sense though. You know, like in the way the show was going, because the show is so outrageous. The show is completely outrageous.
Right.
But the house pet system, it totally made sense for the show. Right. So let's say your dad gives you $100 in college, right? You have that much money. After that, you're done. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're scrapping cents, man, to get ramen noodles and shit. But after that, it's like it's tough, man.
Yeah. So
I can totally get it.
Yeah, so I think, and I wonder what the panel thinks about this as well, is I think what this show does, and it's very Japanese anime, is it tries to set up the idea of what injustice looks like in a very classist system, right? What this show tries to do more than anything is to set up not if the things are unfair and that gambling is a good representation of power between these kind of two things, but also that like it's not enough to lose in this thing. It's you kind of lose who you are as a person. You lose the kind of class that the person that you are. It makes the stakes really high. And,
you don't just beat somebody. You humiliate them. You own them.
Right. Yeah.
And also, the way that they lean into that whole class system thing is how cheating is rampant and allowed.
Right?
Oh my
right? Because
God.
in the world of capitalism, as was said in the show,
It's like
you know, if
fighting
you're
in
not
hockey.
cheating, you're not winning, and you're not winning, you're nothing. So yeah, and I think that's a pretty cool. I think that was a pretty cool idea. So, but so if any normal person was to join this school and be confronted with the idea of potentially being a Fido or Mittens, I don't even think I would even bother. I would hide in the bathroom after school, and you wouldn't see me until the late school bus came in. I'd be eating a lunch in the bathroom. In this thing, Jabami Yumeko not only does not care that this is happening, but she loves it. So let's talk about her for a little bit. Let's talk about the main character.
Okay.
Jabami Yumeko, we kind of gave like a little bit of that. She's a yandere and all this stuff, but let's kind of talk about her character, especially in the form of the first game, which was rock, paper, scissors, ballots. So first, Kevin, so people who haven't watched the show yet, what was the first game all about, and how do you win this thing, and who she play against? So
It was rock, paper, scissors. Was this the one with the swords?
No, it was the first one with the. It was a ballot, so you.
It was with the blonde. It was with the blonde chick that she destroyed and ruined her life, basically.
Yeah.
But then became her friend.
She just. Oh, now we're friends, right? Now we're friends.
Keep up, John. Keep up.
I got this, man.
I mean, first of all, can we talk about how sweaty these people are?
Sure, we can definitely do that.
What the hell is going on? I mean,
there's a lot on the line, Kevin.
Is it just to emphasize the stress?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, I mean, they're just constantly sweating. And, like...
that fucking guy's constantly sweating. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, but they all are, though.
The guy, I forget his
Ryota?
name. Like,
Ryota,
yeah, he's like,
even,
oh my God, she's going to make this move, and what is going to happen after this?
That's because...
I want to... Like, if I went to that school... Like, I would punch him in the face first.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else.
He's
like, bro, get your together and stop the bullshit. Be a man, man.
You're like, you're going to act like a man.
So,
act like a man.
So Kevin, as maybe Garrett can jump in as well. Like Garrett, what was the first episode about? What did the first game look like for you?
The first game was rock, paper, scissors. So you had everyone surrounding Yumiko Jabami and Mary Satame. And Mary Satame was the blonde that challenged her. And at this point, we don't really know much about Yumiko, but what we learn really quickly is this chick digs risk and dig gambling. Yeah. And Mary challenges her to a sort of alternate version of rock, paper, scissors, where everyone who's present they have to draw, which is funny. They have to draw either a hand, a scissors, or a rock. And they put them in a ballot. And the two contestants, Yumiko and Mary, have to pull these ballots, and they get three. Is it 3 cards?
Yep, 3.
They get 3 cards. So maybe they've got rock, 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 or maybe they've got rock, paper, scissors. So now that they have these cards, they have to guess and read the other person what they're going to throw. However, Mary thinks she's got an upper hand on Yumiko. But Yumiko, as we find out throughout the series, always knows when someone's trying to screw her over.
Oh, yeah.
And essentially, the other people in the room owed money, at least like 20 of them, owed money to Mary. So she had them reading Yumiko's cards from behind and signaling to her, so she had a better idea of what was coming at her, so she would know what to throw. And again, Yumiko could be upset by this. She could say cheating is bull, but instead she's like, oh my God, it makes it more exciting.
Oh, yeah.
She not only does she loves it, she touches herself thinking about the idea of gambling. The amount of like masturbation at school is a real problem.
We're gonna get there.
Wide open.
And how are all the seats like not stained?
Yeah,
like all the chairs should be
sweat and stuff like that.
Also,
sweat and just fluid.
I had an issue with the animation. So I know that we spoke about Yandere, Yan being crazy, Dere meaning like cuddly and whatnot. When they get all crazy and they look like the Joker from The Killing Joke.
Or the Grinch when he found out how he was going to steal Christmas. He was like...
Yes. I found it deeply disturbing to my soul.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, what did you think about that? Where like their face would get all contorted? When the first time you saw that, Kevin and John, did you just go to like to yourself and say, "These girls are crazy. I don't want anything to do with this show." Like run to the hills. Like, was that like your first impression?
It was nuts. I mean, I'm and it's funny because it goes from we're gonna all right, so this is what we're gonna bet on, and then all of a sudden it just changes to this like contorted
like the fangs, you know. It's almost like they have fangs, you know.
And Yumiko gets those crazy red eyes.
Crazy eyes, yeah. Oh, that's when she's really ready, man. That's when the fuck moist. That's when it's ready. You know,
her engine is primed.
Oh my god, she's ready to go.
So what's crazy about this is I think what's great about this show, and what I think my wife liked about the show, is that it played on the idea of cuteness in women. Because if you look at the show, all of the characters, save for 2 people, are women, are girls. So they're all female, and they all have this 2 sides of being cute and like, let's play a game. Everything is great, peace sign. And then, but what's inside of them is this like Wolverine, I'm going to bite your face off idea. And I thought it was really cool how they play on that idea of the cutesy woman who ends up being the predator afterwards. So let's pull on that thread for a little bit. Like, what did you think about the idea of like all the people being women, all the people, you know, all the contestants being like cutesy, until all of a sudden the fit hits the shan, and then we're back into like real crazy Terry. Let's talk. Garrett, what do you think? What did you think about that?
Well, first of all, I want to take one quick step back. You said your wife liked it. Mm-hmm. My wife deeply disliked it. She found
this is the tale of 2 wives. This was. She
found it disturbing and exited the room. So I don't know if John or Kevin, if your significant others were down with it, but mine certainly was not.
My wife Jen.
Your wife Jen?
My wife Jen.
Yes. By the way, for those who haven't listened to their podcast, both of the wives are Jen's. So.
She was there, but she wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, she kind of like glanced up, and it was during the Russian roulette episode.
Oh no!
We're gonna definitely have a space for that game in a second.
Oh god,
yeah.
that was that's where I was like, whoa.
Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that one.
She's contorting her head and like spinning around and talking a mile a minute and screaming, and my wife is just looking at it like, what in the hell is this? So the next day, I was like, so what'd you think of the show last night? And she goes, I don't know what the hell that was.
So I think for me, it's really cool that you get the idea of like the cutesiness being juxtaposed. You get like the women, that a lot of the characters are women.
Well, Kyle, we discussed this in our last episode where the Japanese like to take something that would seem otherwise benign and turn it on its head.
Like The Ring or Grudge, in which like you take a girl with long black hair would normally not be scary, but they like twisting that idea to the point of like,
there's eyes coming out of her head.
Yeah.
So take a bunch of schoolgirls that anyone is just thinking, oh, they're just gonna prance around and care about boys, but no, they're freaking maniacs. Like that's the unsettling part.
Right. You know? And another thing that was unsettling is that they used a lot of close-up shots of different parts of their body just to like show how their mood was changing throughout. I've never noticed. What was that?
Eye twitches, man.
Right. I didn't notice this part of your eye more.
Oh my god.
A little like pink spot like in between your eye where the eye goes more than in this show.
Oh my god, that's so right.
It just zoomed in on that specific eyeball part more times than I could ever imagine. And I think, so what's really crazy is that Jabami does this kind of lather, rinse, repeat of how she beats people, is that she will play one game. She will lose kind of intentionally just to like learn the rules of the game, and in the process lose a crazy amount of money, like an insane amount of money. Like, I don't know how you gentlemen know what yen to dollar is, but it's basically you take what they did and cut two zeros, and that's the dollar, basically.
I don't care how much it is. It's 310 million.
Yeah. It could have been 310 nickels, and that's still a crazy amount of money.
Kyle, real quick, that part of your eye is called the lacrimal carnicle.
Oh, okay.
It's the small pink globular nodule at the inner corner of the eye.
Yeah.
I love globular nodules.
It's where the eye boogies come from.
Globular nodule.
So
I love it.
So then so Jabami usually gets to a place where she's like, oh man, and then she'll like pretend that she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be ruined forever. I don't want to lose and stuff like that. Can you just take me again? But this time, double or nothing. That's like she does the normal hustler technique of like, oh man, I'm just learning the game. Tee-hee.
That was my favorite part of every episode was and I know it's formulaic, but it was waiting for that moment where you're like, oh, how is she going to turn this on them?
Right, exactly.
Where is she going to find how are they cheating this time?
Right. And so then she turns it on, and that's when she gets the red eyes, and then she breaks the enemy not by winning, but by like getting in their face and saying, let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again. And then like getting to a place where the person's like, this person's nuts, I don't want anything to do with it. Everything I thought about gambling is now off the road.
She basically
I don't think
unnerves everybody she plays against.
Right.
I don't think the guy like that's hanging out with her is gonna make it to like 25, man. That guy's gonna bro, that guy is like, oh my god, what is she doing? She's spending so much money. Oh, how is she doing this? And I'm like,
he is wound so tight.
Like, yeah, man, that's exactly how he is. I'm like, this guy, like this guy sucks.
Yeah, well that's so sucks. Just the guy who sucks therefore sucks. Aforementioned suck guy is Ryota. He is one of the. He is one of the characters that is part of this. You know, I have them all written down here. You know what's funny? I gave every character like a weird mnemonic so I can remember who they are. So I put Jabami is main character. Ryota is main male tomato soup can. I put Mary as blonde tsundere pigtails.
Okay.
I called Sumeragi fingernails girl. I called Midari orgasms to guns. I called Rudy, the girl with the orange thing, Lolly with a lollipop.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then Kirari, who's the president, I call her Prez, who loves grabbing chins. Like, she likes getting people on the chin, like getting like she's about to smooch them, but like doesn't. And then I got Yuriko, who is the kimono closed eyes. So, like, just so you know who these characters are, I have a way of remembering each one of them.
Oh, hold on, wait. What's the name for the character that pinches their glasses and then the glasses disappear into
that guy sucked. That guy sucked at gambling.
Yeah, that's the Megane character. That's the guy that when you push it up, it turns into Cyclops all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And look all sinister and stuff like that. He's one of the I think the vice president. He was really
on the student council. He was trying to take over. He got
As I'm watching it, I go, oh, that's that character. That's the character they're always talking about.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm glad you're catching up, Kevin and John, because it's important to get like the idea that like these themes run throughout. But yeah, I think one of the things I want to jump into for you guys so that you can experience anime as it is Ryota kind of plays a straight man to what Jabami Yumeko is what is called an OP character. And an OP character is short for overpowered. And just like Garrett said, the OP character in anime is the character that you have zero doubt they're going to lose, or win or lose. They're going to win every single time. It's just, how are they going to do it? And so the stakes get insane because how do you be a character who's insanely powerful is you just consistently, like, you put them in these really crazy situations like there's no way they can get out of it, and they always do. As opposed to, like, what anime likes to do, which is the underdog story, this is the OP character. So, because, like, as you were watching it, did you ever think to yourself, like, you know, Jabami is out, you know, she's got it now, she's going to get, you know, beaten this time around? Or did you always go like, no, she's never going to lose in this game?
No, I didn't think she would lose.
Right. So what did you and Kevin
in the beginning? I thought she would, and I thought there was going to be like she was going to be like, here's how I'm going to burn this place to the ground now.
That's exactly it. Oh, it's so true.
And then it was like, lose. And then all of a sudden they gave her like a free pass, and they were like, all right, let's have a make up your debt like day, and she did, and never paid her debts back because she was like, I don't need to. She was like, this is all bullshit, and.
Well, no, but also they never asked her for the money back. Instead, they created life plans.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, we don't need the money from you. We're just going to control you until you die.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the life plans.
You're going to marry this person.
Marriage plan, birth plan.
Yeah, they tell you how many babies you're going to have with this congressman and stuff like that. It's really intense.
I had written something down for episode 2. Itsuki calls Yumeko senpai, which
Right.
means teacher or master,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody who is at a higher level than you.
Right.
And I said, I think this is a double entendre. Like, she's calling her this because she's older than her
Yeah.
and supposedly better at gambling.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think she was being sarcastic and also calling her master almost sexually.
Yes. The undertones of sexuality were run deep.
God, it was so, and then I said also again with the sweating.
Yeah. So that's a good point. That's a good jump off point. Let's go into episode 2, in which we learn about concentration with stakes. So who wants to talk about, John, how about you come in? What was the second episode where they did the memory game, concentration with 104 cards? What was that game all about, and what were the stakes?
All right, so basically what I remember from that episode, because I banged them out all in a row. I couldn't stop watching it. And so what I remember was that they put out all these cards, and it was a memory game, and they were trying to figure out like matching the numbers or the letters or the suits or whatever it was, and basically the deck was rigged. All right, where the person knew all the marked cards, and that's basically what our main character was looking at. She realized that the cards were marked, right? And I almost think she lost on purpose, like to
she did the hustler mentality.
Yeah, she hustled. Yeah, she hustled it because I think she read through the BS.
It's white man can't jump.
Exactly. It's exactly what she did to them, and she little by little, and that was it. She won the memory game.
Not only does she figure out that the cards are rigged, but as Kyle said before, psychologically, she has to beat them into the ground. So she doesn't just say, "I caught you cheating." She says, "Oh, gee, it sure would be terrible if it turned out that the second largest toy maker in the world
exactly
making fake cards."
Yeah.
Oh.
I was just going to get to that. And I think
broadcasting it.
And she gets off on that more than anything is when she figures that out, too.
Yeah.
Curse again. I'm sorry.
That's okay, John. I'm just going to send you the bill later.
But, John and Kevin, have you ever seen, back when he was on TV, The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson? And when he was a Scottish guy, and whenever he would swear, they'd put like a French flag over his mouth that would say "ooh la la."
Yeah,
that's what we do with you.
That's what we do with you. We put. I'm gonna put anime panties on your mouth, and I'm gonna put a
nice. You know what's funny?
We are huge in France.
Our big thing is one of our things that we originally were gonna try to go clean. It lasted like
one episode, and we couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it, and we literally, honestly, episode.
No, I think the first episode we just couldn't do it. We halfway through, it was over. Yeah. We couldn't do it.
It was the second episode. we had a friend come on. His name is Freeze, and the first thing out of his mouth, he drops an F-bomb, and we were like, "Oh, all right." So this is how it's gonna go from here on out.
So wait, your buddy's name was Freeze? Because that makes me think of Batman and Robin and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and him going, "Everybody chill."
Yeah. He has a deep voice. And
that's even better.
He sounds like Dr. Freeze.
So
and a bald head.
Yeah, so once again, it's gonna be fun editing this episode. But when we get to the idea of memory stakes, as you had mentioned, John, it's basically you take 252 deck cards completely as is, and then you throw them on the thing on the table. So now there's 104 total matches, and you have to match not just the number but the suit, which I think they made clear in this is that in order for you to actually do it without cheating, you have to have the most ungodly amount of memory possible to make this happen. And Yumeko not only figured out the gag of how she was figuring it out, but also herself figured it out and then memorized all of the cards and all the markings and what they meant. But in order to hustle, Itsuragi wanted to raise the stakes. Before, she lent out 10 million yen debt interest-free. But in order to play the second game, it wasn't going to be enough. No. There was going to be a way to up the ante. So what would happen if Yumeko lost this time. Someone want to chime in on this part?
This was the moment when my wife walked out. Because I felt so she intimates that she wants something more than money. And they have this little close-up where she puts her thumb on Yumiko's thumb and presses her fingernail up. My wife just heard me and groaned in the other room. Because she collects people's nails and rips them off. And then
I forgot about those.
Yeah, but did you see Yumeko's nails? They were gorgeous.
It's like ivory hunting, but with people's fingernails.
And that was a really weird thing.
This is something that freaks me out, man.
Yeah.
The ripping of fingernails off, and
then she painted them. She would paint them and put them in like a little collection, like
butterflies.
Yeah, like butterflies in a collection bin.
Who thinks it?
There was a movie called Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon, and there was a scene that this girl was about to be murdered, and she is trying to claw her way away from the killer, and it's a wooden floor, like an old wooden floor, and she tries to grab at it, and her nail sticks into the wood, and when the guy pulls her away, her nail just breaks right off, and it freaks me the hell out. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, I was brought back to this nightmare.
No one wants their nail ripped off. Absolutely nobody.
And I think that's the point, is that to this school, money means nothing to the point. It does matter to have some sort of money there, but it's more to dehumanize people, to make them feel lesser than, to feel more above than someone. That's the goal of this school, is not so much to win money, because they're rich kids. They could get money wherever they want. So the stakes have to be these kind of dehumanizing ideas, and I think you get to learn that as it goes, and especially with Yumeko being as nuts as she is about gambling, that in order for you to beat this OP character, this character that you never think is going to lose, you have to think to yourself there's this little part of your brain that's oh, I wonder if they're going to take her nails. Ooh, there's even if it's a 1% of your brain, it pulls that part of your psyche that says, oh man, is she going to lose her fingernails? And as opposed to some people who may have lost one, she was saying you're going to lose not only all your fingers, but all your toes. There would have been a full day and a half of just all day just getting Yumeko. So I think these first two games were kind of lather, rinse, repeat, as the third one was, where we had the next character, which we had, as I called her, Kimono Closed Eyes, Yuriko Kishitoin, who had a game in which, and I think we're now on Garrett. Talk to us about the next game, which involves swords and cups and roulettes and all that stuff. So
magnets.
It was Yahtzee meets roulette. So essentially, she had these little swords that you might stab an olive that's in your martini with.
Yes.
And they would shake them up in a cup and slam the cup down, and they would come out on a board. Now, they could come out one of three ways. They could come out flat, laying on the board, in which case they meant nothing. And they could come out sword up, which meant life, which was a good thing for the person playing against the host. Yeah. Or they could come hilt up, in which death, which was very bad for the person. And Yumiko is brought to by the way, the girl who runs this game also runs the sacred traditional history of Japan center, of the school. Yes. So it's a really weird dynamic, but they start playing this game. And do you want to get me to get, so again, we reach that moment where Yumiko, when she enters, Mary Satame is actually there. And Mary is now in a desperation circle. Okay, 2 episodes before, she's lost money to Yumiko. Now she's in debt. She was hot stuff. And now she's a kitty. She's Mittens, and she is not handling the transition well. No. And so she loses more money because, no one plays worse poker at a casino than a dude who's drunk and just lost $1,000, right? You're not in a good headspace to. And
she challenged a student council member, which is one of the privileges of being a house bet. Is you can say if you're such a loser, you get a weird superpower. It's the game asshole where like, you know, as you're you make other people drink still, even though you're the one that's like kind of the loser of the game. That's They say like you can challenge a student council member in order to get your money back.
Right. And so Yumiko figures out, because again, everyone cheats. Yeah. No one is honest. She figures out that the assistant, the one who's actually doing the cup, has these 2 piercings. She said, "Oh, those are fake moles." I don't know a single person who would ever confuse
like perfectly dotted singular silver ball moles on her hand.
Right. And it's essentially a magnet. So she doesn't have complete control of what's inside the cup, but she can manipulate it to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so she can like drop it in like certain places, because as long as you're betting where the edge of the cup is, it's probably easier because it's going to stick there and then like slide down. Right. So Yumeko has a strategy that is different than her previous 2, in that she essentially negs the Yuriko until she kind of messes up. She's like, "Oh, great, we're gambling, and you're hot garbage."
Oh yeah, she's like, yeah. She basically she just said to her, she goes, "You know, you're a piece of shit."
Imagine you could do that at like in order to mess with the guy at Vegas, you could just be like, "Great, I'm having so much fun. Can I have a cocktail, please? And by the way, dealer, you're a piece of human garbage."
Right, and then she's like, "Oh, and your family name? Did you know that's also a joke?"
Like, yes, and like messes with her name, which is a big deal in Japan, and so she got Yuriko to lose her GD mind, which really helps her, because it's like, okay, this is where I'm going to get her. What she was doing, she was riling her up to the point where she could get her to do the trick again and cheat, and so she would know that the cheat was happening now, and also bet where she knew what was going to happen. So it was a pretty cool way of her doing it. And once again, slather, rinse, repeats. Like, we know this is what we call the tale of 2 wives. Like, your wife Garrett was checked out. She was done after the nail pulling idea. My wife loves gambling. She's like this sweet, unassuming woman who loves herself some gambling, loves herself some Vegas, Atlantic City. So this was really right up her alley. But she was getting a little annoyed of the lather, rinse, repeat of, "I'm finding out you're cheating. Now I'm going to beat you up," like that kind of stuff. And so it wasn't until we got to the 4th game in which things got real, in which we learned that both Yumeko, who, by the way, got cheated out of her money, so the president, so she was going to win, but the president came in and did like an extra cheat, like a double cheat, and fixed the board for her.
Right.
Once again, holding, you know, Yuriko's chin and going like, "You telling me, you know, lift the cup." Once again, not kissing her, but almost trying to kiss her. And so she's like, "I saved your butt, by the way." And so now Yumeko's a house pet, just like Mary is. Right. Both of them had to get their life plan.
She embraces it.
Right. So this is what's crazy about the RP character. She does not care that she's a cat. They're like, because all the girls are like, "Oh, now we're gonna make fun of Yumeko. She thinks she's so hot stuff." But then
she like gets on the floor, starts acting like a cat. She's like, "You have any milk? You have any milk?"
She's like, "Nyan. Oh, I'm such a kitty. Look at me. I lost all this money. I'm a stupid cat." Like, you know, if you saw that, you'd be like, "This girl is nuts. There's no way I'm gambling with this chick." Yeah.
So it was perfect strategy for them.
It's just like the Hey Arnold episode where he was going to get beat up by the bully, but then he decided to do like this really crazy person dance, and he's like, "I'm crazy," and like smacks his face with like trash cans. It's a good way of doing it.
I'm sorry, that is a deep cut. A Hey Arnold reference.
Wow. You know, it's funny. I think her becoming a house pet, one, was self-serving to her because I think she got off on it, and also two, I think it was a strategy for her to be able to challenge.
Because weirdly enough, if her goal, what she decided in this episode that to go after the president was her goal now, and knowing that she's a house pet means that she can do that.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "I'm going to hold on to this card, really make them think that I'm going to wreck everybody, not pay off my debt, so that I can one day go after the president and really make them listen to me." So, so when we get to like I think we finally get to a game that like stretches out over 2 episodes. There's actually strategy involved. There's like real cool stakes for it. It's not the lather, rinse, repeat of, you know, I know you're cheating and now I go crazy, that kind of stuff. We then learn that there's a way for house pets to get back their money. And as you said, this is, as John had mentioned, this is the debt swap where, how nice. right? You get a chance, you lose all that money, and now you get to swap that debt with someone else.
Right, and because Yumiko, again, not that she cares, but because she has like the biggest debt in the room, because they play in groups of 4,
right?
She could end up no worse than where she is.
Right, exactly. And then, so we meet another gentleman who's just a real gentleman to the ladies. He couldn't be nicer, right? Kevin and John, what did you think of the guy, the male that they played, and how were we introduced to him? I think his name is June. Hold on a sec. Let me just find the guy who's
that's the guy with the glasses, right?
No. John, this is the guy who sits across the table from Mary and Yumeko. Yumeko. And about 5 minutes earlier, he just tried to sexually assault Yumeko in the frickin' alleyway.
Oh, the meathead guy. The meathead. Yeah. Oh, that guy sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't like that guy.
John, I think you might be the biggest feminist I've ever met, because every guy character we mentioned, you go, that guy sucked.
Well, but that's how they're drawn. That's how they're designed. These guys suck. There's not one cool guy in any of these shows. I'm gonna we'll talk about something else later. But the second main character, the guy that's her friend or whatever his name is, he sucks. He's weak as shit. And this guy's he's a rapist basically. He sucks. The guy with the glasses on the student council, he sucks. There's not one cool character. And I'm not gonna say I'm a feminist, but it just seems like that
I'm not gonna say I'm a feminist.
But I don't give a shit. I honestly when you were talking about it before, when you were saying about something about how did you feel about the female characters being powerful or whatever. Honestly, as I was watching the show, I didn't even think about it. I just kept thinking about, man, these guys are pussies, man. That's all
what we needed more than anything in this show was just a little bit of Jersey, like an anime version of John. And when someone loses, especially a guy, John just gets right in his face and you suck, bro, and does a John Cena in his face and stuff like that. I think that would make the show even better.
Well, that guy in the student council was such a beta. You know, he just sucks, man.
I love that you got to a later point where we talked, because that was also a really heavy episode as well. But for this one, what it is we learned about this poker game. Well, first off, this rape, we'll call him Rapey McRape Face. He goes up and he's like, "You're a house pet. Well, let me just take off your panties." And then Yumeko does a little striptease, but then she's like, "Nope, you're hot garbage. I'm not doing it." And they end. So the guy, and this is where I was getting really. It was hard to watch with my wife sitting next to me, because she was getting a little this is really nuts. And I remember, and it didn't make it better that Orgasms the Guns shows up and saves her. The hero of the day comes up.
Her name is Midari.
What did you guys think about when she showed up to save the day?
All right, so I don't support rape culture, okay? No. But I thought it was hilarious when she goes and starts talking her crazy talk, and he's like, "What the f*** are you talking about?" And he goes, "This ruined the mood." And I'm like, what?
And then she's like,
"It's so true. That's exactly what happened. It was terrible."
And so the character
getting all hot. It was getting all hot and heavy, and then seeing Roseanne Barr, and you're like, "All right." I'm done.
I mean, Kevin, this character Midari shows up, and she pulls a gun, and she says, "You know what? You can have." First of all, her character's job is the beautification committee.
And
this girl has an eye patch and looks like she is on the longest walk of shame you've ever seen in your life. And she whips out a 6-shooter revolver, huge revolver, and she says, "If you want to rape someone, how about I just give you my sex, but we're going to play Russian roulette for it. I'll put one bullet in the chamber. You got a 1 in 6 chance of getting naked with me."
Oh.
Because if I was you, I'd take that bet.
Yeah, she's a little nuts. And like you had said with Sweat, Midari has a real leakage problem. She
from every orifice,
this woman has some sort of clear liquid flowing from her that is making it
From her
seem like
mouth.
yeah, she's salivating, she's crying. Who knows what else is happening? And they make her see like she was a tough pill to swallow to get my wife to enjoy this show. Was this character is absolutely out of her mind. So she saves her by essentially saying, "Why don't you just have sex with me? But first you got to shoot a gun first." And then the guy's like, "Well, my boner's gone," and so he leaves. And now they're in this 4-person poker game where you get 2 cards, one you don't see, and one you put on your forehead.
Yeah, you put on your forehead, yeah.
And this is there's no face cards, there's no face cards, there's no ace, there's only
it's a 40-card deck.
It's a 40-card deck, 2 to 10. And the best thing to have is the same suit, I think it was, or same number.
Suit.
Well, you had to pick high and low. Wasn't it the one person had to pick high or low?
No, you're thinking about the glasses character. You're thinking about.
Okay.
This is the one where there's 4 people sitting at the table, and then one person puts the card up, and then the other, and then you have to look, and you can kind of like use your what you're seeing to.
Might I point out, Kyle?
This was at the get your money back.
That was the debt swap game. Yeah.
Might I point out that there is no skill in that game unless you're cheating.
Right.
Because otherwise it's just a guess. You see your pocket card, and then the other one is up against your head, and you have no idea.
But you can see the other cards. The point is that you can see everyone else's. So you have a little bit of an advantage based, except for what you have in your forehead. So if you see a bunch of low cards, you're like, it's a better chance that I have a high card on my forehead. So, but that doesn't happen here, right? They're obviously cheating. They're obviously working together to make it happen. And what I thought was really clever about this episode was they didn't win because they did better at the game. In fact, they really showed that like the other girl, the other character that was there was really like the girl that kept getting beaten up by Rapey McRapeface, and she like so much that he like cut her hair off and like would constantly make her do whatever he wanted.
That guy was a dick.
Yeah. In order for them to beat him, not only did they sack him up with all of Yumeko's debt, but they gave her money back, and. But in order to do that, they did a very good switcheroo, is that in order for them to get the chips that they were going to get, they had to claim how much debt they had. They could say, normal people would be like, I have $50 million in debt, so that means I'm just going to put $50 million and hope I get that back. But she said, Mary didn't have a huge debt. She maybe had like $100 million, but she's like, I have $310 million, and had Yumeko's debt written down on her paper. And then they switched their debts, and so the chips were worth whatever the person's debt was. So it was better to have the higher person's debt chips than it was to have the lower person's.
And might we just add in here that the guy at the table, who is the unsavoriest of all characters, he didn't even need to be there. He didn't legitimately have debt.
He had no debt.
Took out a debt from his friend just so he could play the game to inflict pain upon others.
Yeah.
And it does not work out for him.
Yeah, so now he becomes a house pet. And also what this kind of also brings out as well is that the student council is doing this not because they want money and power, but they're also using it to get leverage in the political world. So after the game was over, they're like, well, the governor's son now has the worst debt. He's a house pet. So now what they're going to do is they can now leverage the governor to be like, well, we have your son right. We have him by the chutzpah. We got him by the yarbles. So now what are you going to do for us? So now they're actually trying to do like some sort of political power to get it. So it's a very interesting way to see how the game was played. But I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the game with Midori. I think this is the last game we're going to discuss because it was so wild, so unnecessary that I had trouble figuring it out. So who wants to jump in? Let's talk about what was known as the ESP game. What happened? Let's talk as a panel. What was the ESP game all about? You guys can just jump in.
First and foremost, the game didn't need to happen.
No.
Midori, and again, this is the crazy pirate walk of shame girl who saves Yumiko in the alleyway from the other dude. She finds out that the president is going to do something to Yumiko. I don't know, but she deems Yumiko as an equal. She's like, oh, I gotta go get my gamble on with her, and like chases her down and locks her in a first Saw movie like
the first Saw movie.
That's exactly what it was like.
So I wrote down episode 6. Okay, so they've been arrested. What the fuck?
Right, and like Carrie Elwes is in the corner with his foot sawed off,
like chained to the pipes and stuff. So the game is essentially right. Is that the Ryota, the soup can, the guy who sucks, as Jono mentioned, is now the dealer in which he puts down ESP cards, tarot cards.
But he's in a different room.
He's in a different room.
He can't communicate, so the two girls are in one room and he's in the other, and they can see each other's hands. Or no, they can see his hands. So his job is to lay out 5 cards that have the symbols from the 5th element on them.
Yes.
And wind. So he has to lay out these cards, and then the women on the other side in the other room have to lay out their cards, and whoever matches the most cards in the same position as Ryota gets a point for each match.
Now, the thing is that Midori doesn't want to win, right? She just likes the idea. It's like a person who gambles not to see the cards go out, but to see the chips getting taken away. That's what she's playing the game for. But in this case, it's gun-based.
Yeah.
So, like, talk to me. What you thought about, like, this chick wants to play Russian roulette like nobody's business. Kevin and John, what did you think about the stakes that were played?
I was like, I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, you load the gun with as many bullets as you want, and you throw it down the chute. And the one girl's like, I put 6 in, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, I'm gonna pick. Like, if I was playing that game, I would pick the gun with 6 bullets in it and blow my head off, because that's my luck. But I'm just like, this is like, it was wild.
Yeah, this is high school, man.
This is high school.
Yeah, exactly. And like the whole time I'm watching this, this crazy ass show, and I'm like, and they're in high school. Like
these are like 15 and 16-year-olds going like, let's do it.
And I was like, all right. Like, exactly. I'm like, this is bizarre. It was just bizarre, and the whole like gun thing. I'm just like, oh my god. I was like, I was like, I can't. Like, I was like, it got really weird after that. Like that whole gun, the whole.
That was hard to swallow, right? Yeah, Kevin, did you have a similar sentiment?
My favorite part of this whole game is that Ryota is just like, well, I'm banking on she knows I'm a dumbass.
Yeah. And she does.
Yep.
It's like Ryota knows nothing.
He's like, she knows I'm not going to be able to think under pressure. She knows I'm just a dumbass. I'm just going to copy her over and over and over again.
Right. And that was the point.
He's going to catch on.
And so what she essentially did, now normally Yumeko gets to that point, like that point we all talked about of getting them to the lose, but then also like get in their face with her red eyes and tell them like, let's keep gambling, keep gambling. But that's not going to work on Midori. This is a girl who literally takes a 6-shooter into the bathroom and touches herself. Like there's no way you're going to beat the girl in that way. So what Yumeko does in this, the way she's going to do it is that she's not
every high school in America. Every high school in America does that. That's what we do.
This is America. Don't get your bit on. So
the 6-shooters.
Yeah, and so what she says is, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction because you're not playing this game for us to possibly both win and lose. You just want to lose and get shot at, and that to me is boring.
She said you're the worst kind of person.
Right. You ain't
wrong.
She's terrible for different reasons, but I don't think that makes her the worst person in the world. But I thought it was interesting that she's like. And she has this weird crazy person logic that is like as a crazy person, I think you deny the morality of other crazy people and you make me sick.
Well, and keep in mind, you learn a little bit about the backstory of Midori here and why she has that eye patch. Is she was in a game up against the president and she didn't feel anything. She was numb. And the president was like, well, I've never seen the back of it. No, first she says, I've never seen the back of the moon. Isn't that quite the mystery? You know what else I haven't seen the back of? A human eyeball. And so
for $300 million,
stabs herself with a fountain pen
and pulls out the eye for the freaking thrill of it.
Wow. I know. That was the point in the show that like I'm glad that my wife just got to the four-person poker game because I think she would have checked out after that because she was liking it otherwise to that point.
Yeah.
So that was the point.
Wasn't she at one point willing to pull out her other eye?
Yeah, she's like, give me pain. She was such a sadomasochist to herself that just the idea of inflicting pain onto herself was what she wanted out of gambling. So, gentlemen, as we said, this show has a lot of intense moments. It's a lot to unpack. But what if I was to tell you that there's a live action version of this show?
What?
Stop!
What if I was to tell you?
I gotta watch it.
It's called Kakegurui, and it's also on Netflix, and you can watch it. And I watched one episode of it just for the sake of our show, and it shows why shows based on anime stink. Like the Dragon Ball movie really was terrible. Is that like it's really tough to make real people do anime-isms? Because like imagine like you say like Ryota sucks, John. Imagine a male version replicating that.
No,
he sucks even worse. He's like because he's very like he's more Twitchy-ish than Ryota is. He's like, oh my god, how's it going on? What's concentration happening? What's she doing? How's this happening? Like he's even more bad.
How did they do the? How did they do?
Is that your Robin Williams impression?
So, but they don't do they can't. I don't think they do like a full like what's it? Truth or Dare movie, Blumhouse movie where their face gets all distorted. They do like. They just get their and that's the thing. You lose the effect of the people's faces contorting and distorting and stuff like that. And but yeah, you guys can watch Kakegurui live version drama on Netflix now if you wanted to.
Definitely going to.
That is wild, right?
I'm gonna check. I have to check it out. I'm gonna watch episode 1 at least.
It's crazy. It's a trip because it is weirdly true to the source material. And like I'm like, how do you even try to do that? A.
Oh, God.
And B, why was this a thing? And they made it.
I'm gonna watch one episode, and it's gonna be the Midari episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna check it out.
All right.
I want to see what gun orgasms look like in real life.
Exactly.
Orgasms with guns.
This show was so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like,
so that gives us to a good thing.
bizarre.
So what we do, John and Kevin, as you may have known from listening to our shows, what we do now is called the Weeb and Noob score. And the Weeb and Noob score doesn't necessarily mean if it's good or bad, but if you were to put in like how important it is to watch, right? Like how if you were to a high score means that go out and watch it now, and a lower score means you can put it away a little bit. You can give it like a little space for a noob. So all of you are going to give me a noob score. You're going to say, how is it based on barriers to entry? How hard is it to watch? How hard is it to get? How hard is it to like, as a new person, does it really turn you off? Like, these are the things you're going to score on. So I'm going to have you follow Garrett's lead. But for me, I give this my Weeb score of 6.0. And it's not to say that it's good or bad. It's actually I honestly like it because I read the manga all the way through. Like, this thing gets even way crazier, by the way, John. If you were to, because I'm impressed with that you watched season 1. Season 2 is also another ball game.
I'm going to watch it. I'm seriously going to watch it.
John, I can't tell you how proud I am for you. Like, I give you a Weeb score of 10, but I give this show a 6 because, because I think, so the main things are, it really plays a little bit into the fan service. It really kind of makes, sexuality a component of the thrill of the game, and it kind of gets a little lather, rinse, repeating in the beginning. The ending gets a little weird. The amount of like lesbianic forces that they make this show seems like if you watch the theme song, you just would seem that this is just one big tattoo video where they're all just trying to smooch each other the entire episode. Like, it's that kind of stuff. Hey, how's it going? And so for that, I give this show a 6.0. Garrett, what do you give this as the noob score?
Soft 6.
Yeah,
soft 6. And I got to be honest with you, of all the deep dives, that is the shows that you've given me where I'm supposed to watch more than one episode, just to catch a character. This could not keep me engaged. I fought through 8 episodes. I like gambling, but I found the animation disturbing. And the thing is if you would put it in a horror anime, I think it would have been like, ooh, yeah, that's for me. But in this one, it was so preposterous, and the amount of times that these children of powerful people would have just walked away and been like, "My daddy says you can't do that." Like, they're not just gonna all
it's not as realistic, and you
all in line. And I just and look, it's an anime. It does need to be realistic. I understand. I have to suspend my disbelief, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I didn't feel it. I appreciate everyone who worked on the show and put their blood, sweat, and tears into the animation and the voices and everything. But for me, I don't think that this is essential. I think that there's a lot of barriers to entry, whether it's the hypersexualization, the hyperviolence, the as Kevin so eloquently stated, the gratuitous amount of sweat. Like, there's just
a lot on the sensations. Yeah, I agree. Kevin, I want the Big Stupid Podcast score. What would you rate this, Kevin?
I would basically go along the same lines as Garrett, but I would give it a little bit of a higher score. I would give it a 7.
Okay.
I did enjoy it. I would definitely watch it again. I'm going to try and finish the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
It's my thing is I'm a dumbass and I can't follow the games.
I agree.
Like when they're talking about like pulling cards and I'm like, I'm lost. I'm like,
when they described the
you know,
double mirror in the Russian roulette episode,
yeah,
I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand the cheat.
Yeah, I think this one benefits from being read more than it does being watched because they have to fit it into the 23-minute episode. They have to explain things quickly, but with the manga, it gets more time to do that. So I'm with you, Kevin. I think if you don't like a thinking man's anime, like where like it's intense with these like crazy sensations of being like women orgasming into guns and gambling, but at the same time they're like, I need you to do math in your head now.
Yeah,
you know, like mental math is not what you want to be doing when you're looking at women like huh? Like and looking at the little goop eyeball thing. So John. Yeah, sorry, Kevin. Kevin, finish your.
No. But I did like it. I thought it was nuts, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would definitely watch. I would definitely watch it more. And again, one of the things that holds me back from giving it a higher score is the complete lack of any kind of supervision. I mean,
as a parent,
there's none. Like I don't understand how all this is going on, and nobody knocks on a door. Nobody says, "Hey, keep it down." No, I mean,
if rape is as easy to happen at this school, there's going to be a real like Sandusky moment at this school at some point.
Oh yeah, God, this school.
So John, close this out. What would you rate it? What score would you give?
Okay, all right. Here's my overall. I'm very open-minded. All right, I'm going to be honest. I like a lot of stuff. Okay, I very rarely, if I go to a movie and everybody says it sucks, I can find something good about it.
All right.
Okay, I'm very open, and so with this show, I walked into it with an open mind, and I was like, this is gonna be. It is what it is, and I'm not gonna say I hated it. All right, I enjoyed it. I really did. Because I took it for what it was. And, like you guys were like, all right, we're going to watch this show. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I liked it. I really did like it. It was a little crazy. It got a little weird. But once again, this is my first, real experience into watching the anime stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Which is kind of, I kind of threw you in the deep end there, John. Sorry.
No, it's fine. But once again, as we were on our Facebook chat, I looked up the you guys were talking about the High School of the Dead.
Yeah.
I started watching that. And I really like it. and listen, have you done anything on that one yet?
Oh no, we want to have you guys come back. You guys want to come back and do High School of the Dead? We'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna tell you why. That one got weird.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it would have been a good enough episode if we didn't have you guys do a weird show with us. So, but from 1 to 10, John, on a quick button, from 1 to 10, what would you give it as a score?
I mean, I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 6.5 to 7.
Good.
Because I think it was. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because I said, I'm very open minded with stuff like that, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna enjoy it.
So it seems like if we were to take a group average. It seems like 6 to 7 is what a new fan would give it, and so that means we have some consistency here. So it means that for a new and old, for a fan like myself, you could probably find ways of whetting the gambling anime appetite. But for the rest of you, whether you're like John and this is your first one, or Garrett and you've done this for a while, there's still kind of the same consistency with it with Kevin in the middle there. So once again, gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. But out there, those watching and listening, we still want to hear your thoughts. Was Kakegurui the kind of show that really turned you off from the idea of anime? Did it make you excited about possibly ripping out a deck of cards yourself? Did it make you think to yourself, what is anime but just a gratuitous mess? Let us know in the comments below, because we really want to know what you think. If I was able to throw our good friends here into the deep end, I want you to do it as well. Let us know in the comments below, and we want to keep the conversation going, because even though it's intense, it's still something you could probably watch and still enjoy yourself. Kevin and John, I want to thank you both for joining us on this show. We once again, let's have another panel again sometime soon, right?
Yeah,
absolutely, definitely, man. I enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun, man.
And we're gonna do the crazy. So it's gonna be Kevin and John does crazy anime every couple episodes. But before we close, Garrett, what any last thoughts before we close?
I have never been so happy and thankful for my public school experience.
With that being said, we're gonna go end our show on a four-person poker game that has guns involved, and we have it ready, waiting for us. And I got my 6-shooter ready. But before then, we're gonna sign off for you guys, and we're gonna say, have a good week.
Take care, guys. Be well.
Don't play Russian roulette with your enjoyment, and put your trigger on that subscribe button.
We're willing to bet that you've got great shows that you think we should watch. So let us know in the comments below.